Good morning. So today we are not going to have the regular lecture. Instead, we are going to have a guest lecture from one of the leading entrepreneur in the country, right? So I think already you know because I have shared his profile in your post step. So already you know who is going to speak to you today. But so I would like to, rather than introducing by myself, I would like to invite one of your batchmates introduce him. So I would like to invite Miss Dilhani Senaviratna, one of your batchmates, to introduce Mr. Kahatapi. Dilshani, over to you.
Thank you, sir. A very good morning to Dr. Krishantha, the module leader of the subject Entrepreneurial Essential, the guest lecturer, Mr. Lalit Kahapitiya, and all my colleagues. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce the visiting lecturer today, Mr. Lalit Kahapitiya, the founder and the chairman of KIK Groups of Companies. He is a chartered engineer and a fellow of Institution of Mechanical Engineers and Institution of Engineering and Technology of United Kingdom and a fellow of Institution of Engineering Sri Lanka as well. After working many years in private and public sector, in 1994 he ventured on his own. The KIK group of companies he started won many prestigious awards including the Presidential Exports Award for Electrical and Electronic Engineering Sector Exports. He strongly believes in innovation and boldly experiments with the new concepts and ideas. This has resulted in KIK securing many international patents for their inventions. Among many of the KIK international customers are the Delhi Metro Underground Railways, Hyundai Motors, Renault Nissan, Daimler, Motorola, Flextronics, Danfoss, and Nokia. Mr. Lalit Kahapitiya was a receiver of the Platinum Award as the Entrepreneur of the Year 2004, which is once a lifetime achievement for a Sri Lankan entrepreneur. On behalf of the students and the staff of the SLIIT Business School, we are highly thankful to you accepting our invitation and be with us today. I'm sure all of us will be able to learn a lot of practical insights about entrepreneurship from you. So, my dear colleagues, please join me in welcoming the guest lecturer, Mr. Lalit Kahapitiya. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dilshani. It's actually Dr. Vishenthige wanted this little bit introduction because the name Lalit Kahapitiya is generally not heard in this country because I always prefer to keep a very low profile and attend to our business in whatever the way we do. Of course, we are mostly in the overseas markets. Although we operate a little bit here, mostly we concentrate on the foreign markets, trying to get some most needed dollars into the country. So it's a contribution that we also do for the country, getting some income into the country. So the name Kahapitiya is generally not heard of, but of course, this introduction would have given you some sort of an idea. Also, there was a request from Dr. Krishantha Vishenthige to tell something about the company because our company is not very active in the country other than working in overseas, and also for you to have an idea of what type of enterprise Lalit Kahapitiya has created. So just to oblige the request from Dr. Vishenthige, I thought I'll show you about 2 to 3 minutes short video on the organization and what we do. Then you will have an idea of what we really produce. So just want to get a feedback from you. Is my voice clear and can I be seen properly? Or can I get a feedback from somebody?
Yes, you are clear and we can see you. But I want students to respond.
Yes, sir, we can hear.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Right. Let me first show this video so that you will have an idea of what KIK is all about. I'll share the screen. Just give me a second. I'm not a big expert in doing this, but let's see. Just just bear with me for a moment. I think I have done a little silly thing. I have put the files into a desktop folder and it's not working from there. I'll have to pull the two files out from there and get it going. Just give me a second. I'll open my desktop. Let me now try to share the screen. Right, got it. Hope you can see the screen, the video on the screen right now. I'll start playing it.
We can see that electricity is embedded in everything we do, from lighting small households to powering the entire world. Throughout the years, KIK has empowered switchgear assemblers all over the world with high-quality panel building solutions delivering safe and reliable electrical power. KIK has contributed massively to the electrical engineering landscape. In recognition of that contribution, KIK systems have won many awards and are being used for many international projects such as Delhi Metro, Renault Nissan, Motorola, Hyundai, Nokia, Daimler, Shangri-La, power plants, airports, hospitals, the telecommunication industry, and in the automobile industry. With uncompromising quality, KIK systems are rigorously tested according to international standards with strict quality procedures. Flexibility of the kick block system offers switchgear assemblers the freedom to innovate without boundaries. We envision so that tomorrow's demands are provided for today. The experience of over 20 years culminates in our vision to continue innovating for generations to come. Together, we will progress further and continue to strive in empowering panel builders all over the world to deliver safe and reliable power. KIK, the symbol of excellence.
Right, I believe you managed to see the video. Can I hear some voices? It's nice to hear some voices from you all. so that it looks like more like a dialogue rather than listening to a lecture. You can easily talk because the mics are right in front of you. How was it? Did you see?
Yes, sir, it's great.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I was not sure whether it went through, but I believed it was going so that if it didn't work, probably I would have heard that you can't see it. Right. So the today's subject given to me is entrepreneurial mindset. Being an entrepreneur, I think the mindset is what really matters. The subject given was entrepreneurial mindset. So when I looked at the Oxford Dictionary to find out what's the meaning of entrepreneur, the Oxford Dictionary says, I'll just take a note of it, a person who sets up a business or businesses taking on financial risks in the hope of profit. I'll repeat it. A person who sets up a business or businesses taking on financial risks in the hope of profit. I got really ashamed of myself. Did I do that? And this is the definition given in the Oxford Dictionary. You can search for yourself and see it for yourself. What a shameful definition for an entrepreneur. Because I never ventured out to make profits, guaranteed. I know for sure I had no idea of making profits. So if that is so, am I not an entrepreneur? Or is the dictionary wrong? The definition is wrong? I don't know. People call me an entrepreneur, and in 2004, I was selected the Entrepreneur of the Year by the Federation of Chambers of Commerce. At that time, that's the time that I got to know Dr. Krishanta Vicentigi. So I believe this dictionary had made some blunder in defining entrepreneurship, relating that to making money. No. The real entrepreneurship is in achieving your dreams. Achieving your dreams, trying to identify the purpose of whatever you are trying to do. Now, it's a bit unclear sometimes. The purpose of engineer, the purpose of being an entrepreneur is not to make money, but it's something much more beyond that. We, as entrepreneurs, we give a service, and that service sometimes gives us a return. Sometimes, of course, we make losses, but we keep on marching towards the purpose that we believe that we need to really achieve. And that's the real entrepreneurship. Whether you run a business or whether you work in an organization where a culture of entrepreneurship is there. I'll talk a bit of entrepreneurship later. What is entrepreneurship? Or whether you are a go-getter who can make the dreams into reality. And that's real entrepreneurship. That's what I see. But of course, people call this guy an entrepreneur who starts a business, and that's accepted norm in the world. If somebody starts a business, and if he then of course he's supposed to be an entrepreneur, but there has to be a more respectable definition where people who are able to dream something and then make that dream into a reality where the dream also has a purpose. So let's try to understand what this purpose I'm trying to talk about. The purpose of a business is definitely not to make money. The purpose of an entrepreneur, maybe some sort of businesses are there. There are some people who live to make money. Their whole idea is to make money, but then they don't realize that they don't take it when they exit the world. So they keep on accumulating money and all of a sudden leave everything and then vanish from this world. And that's what, as an entrepreneur, what has he gained? Nothing. He would have been a billionaire or a trillionaire. But what has he done then? Kept on collecting money, and then all of a sudden he finds that he leaves everything and then goes to the next world. So let's look at this purpose. This is important to understand, because at a time that we are talking about entrepreneurship and then becoming entrepreneurs, this is something important that you need to understand. The real purpose of an entrepreneur, the real purpose of whatever you are trying to do, that's pretty important. Without knowing the purpose, the journey is really useless. When I say the purpose of being an entrepreneur is not to make money, it's something like this. Now, all of you know about cars or motorbikes. What is the purpose of a car or a motorbike? By the way, I think I will be talking on various things, so best is to make some notes, and also we'll have a good question and answer session where you can clarify anything, you can ask whatever the things, and I will express my views on that. Probably you can argue if you don't agree, then we can discuss and see whether I'm wrong or whether we can still improve on these things. So keep a note. And also, if I ask some questions, don't hesitate, just switch on your microphone and then talk. So I said, you all have, you know what are the cars and motorbikes or any other mode of transport is made for? What is the purpose of a car? Can somebody tell me the purpose of a car? What is the purpose of a car, or what is the purpose of a motorbike? What's the answer? Come on, come on, come on.
Traveling purpose.
Tell me again.
Transformation.
Traveling purpose. Transport purpose.
Transport purpose. Yes, yes, correct. And some more definitions, some more purposes rather. Or to show off that I have a big car and all that. No. Yes, it's like transport, or simply, in simple words, the purpose of a car or a motorbike is to go from one place to the other, or take some goods from one place to the other, take some people from one place to the other. That's the purpose of a vehicle, a car, a motorbike. But when doing that, for the car to operate, what is needed? You need fuel. Without fuel, you can't operate the car. Fuel, maybe the fuel can be either diesel, petrol, electricity, or whatever. So the purpose is to go from A to B, but to achieve that purpose, to serve that purpose, the car also needs fuel. Without fuel, the car cannot move from A to B, or here to there. The car or motorbike or any other vehicle can't move without some sort of fuel. The same way, if you connect entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship is for a different purpose. Different real entrepreneurs will have different purposes. Everyone will have his own purpose. But to serve that purpose, while serving that purpose, you also need a fuel, like the car needs a fuel. The money is there. The money comes only in there. The purpose of a car is not to burn fuel. The purpose of a car is go from here to there. So similarly, the purpose of entrepreneurship is not to make profits or not to make money. It's completely a different thing. It's completely a different thing. That's the purpose of each and every person, which is different. Now, it's important for us to understand this concept in either becoming an entrepreneur or becoming successful in life or becoming happy in life or becoming an entrepreneur, transforming somebody else's organization as a better place for everyone to work. So all these things, behind all these things, there is a purpose. And we need to understand that purpose. That is very important. We come into this world and live a certain number of years. Nobody knows. It can be from 0 to, or maybe a couple of days to maybe even over 100 years. But none of us know how long we are going to be in this world. So the most important thing during this lifespan, is it how much money we collected? I believe no. Money has no relevance to what you can really lead a good life. Happy. If you have been happy during your life, that's much better than money. If you have been living a life where you are fulfilled, you have a fulfilled mindset. Your mindset is fulfilled, or you are happy. You are serving many others. A lot of other people have got benefited because of your life, and all those are the things that matter during our lifespans, not how many billions or trillions we accumulated. Because as I told you earlier, we leave everything. We don't even carry a single cent when we leave the world. So if that is the case, we need to understand the purpose of whatever we are doing. The purpose can change. For the purposes can change from time to time. The purposes will set goals to us. Those goals will be important because when you reach one goal, then you have another goal to reach. So you decide when that you have a goal to achieve some purpose. So that's the thing that I'm trying to explain during this lecture, taking examples from my life and so that you can compare with your experiences. When I look at all the achievements which I have made from my childhood, everything revolves on the same principle. Every little achievement I have made from the time that I was a child up to now had been revolving on these same principles. So when you know these principles, when you know the importance of what you have to really concentrate on, that will make your lives much more successful, much more enjoyable, much more valuable to this world. Okay, now let's see how things developed in my life. I was born in a family who lived in Kalutara. My father was a lawyer, and my mother was a housewife. I was the eldest, and I had 2 younger brothers, 2 younger sisters. And I was being the eldest, it was a big responsibility. And the breadwinner for the entire family was my father. Anyway, coming up as a child, I was not a very studious child. I was more interested in trying various things, doing things practically. And as a result, my studies were not that good. I mean, it's not bad, but never excelled as a top student. I can remember I was doing so many things even during the school time. There was a time that like this, now there's a shortage of foreign exchange in the country. When I was going to school, that was in 1960s, probably, yes, around 1960s. There was some sort of a problem, and as a child, we used to do drawings. And for the drawings, we use a thing called watercolors. I don't know whether it is still existing. I believe so. I have not seen recently. So all colors were, you take a brush and then dip it in water, take the color and then do your painting. That's called watercolors. And there was a huge shortage. So drawing period was a big problem. And then that time there were no fancy things like this platinum or whatever things, and all types of colored pens we didn't have at that time. So I would have been in grade, I don't know, a lower grade or somewhere in middle. And then during this time, I was thinking, how can we face this when there's no color, watercolor? Still, for us to do painting, what can we do? And when a nice thing happens, when you get a requirement, when you see the purpose of what you are going to do. Now, my purpose there at that time was to meet the challenge of not having watercolors as a child. I came across a little leaflet, I don't know from where it came, which gave some detail. At that time, there was no internet, or internet was never heard of. So we had to depend on pieces of paper and what is written on the pieces of paper. So this little booklet was giving details about various things that people can do. And one was to make watercolors, and it was very simple. So you just find the right type of clay, mix some colors, dry it, and then the process was clearly explained. So I tried. I think with one of my elder friends, I went to, no, I think it was one of my relatives who joined me to go to PETA and then source these color pigments, got it, and then tried various experiments. And within a short time, I managed to produce lovely watercolors with whatever the colors we wanted, and which I boxed, put into boxes, and later distributed in the school and earned some money as well, because to produce that you need money. So I can't be asking my dad for money all the time. So I managed to produce watercolors, sell in the school, not only in my school, in the nearby schools, and some other merchants came to me, they started buying. So that was my activity more than the studies. I was more involved in that. There are many cases like that where I just wanted to meet challenges and do new things. I just gave as one little example. So with all this, I was not very good at studies. So my O-level and A-level results were not in the top, but somewhere closer to top, but then not in the top range. Then I started doing various experiments and new things. I don't know, lots of things I did just after finishing my A-level. Like even getting involved in gemming, and then going for gem mines, gem mining, buying and selling small gemstones, agriculture. For a couple of years, I was doing this. Then my father noted that I don't have a solid source of income. This guy is doing this and that and everything. And finally, he spoke to one of his neighbors, one of his cousins. And then who was working at the Ceylon Tobacco Company at that time. He said, my son is doing all types of things, but then I don't see a future in all what he is doing. Can you take him into the Ceylon Tobacco? So at that time, it was not that difficult. So I was taken into Ceylon Tobacco as a field trainee. The field trainee means you have to undergo a very thorough training to grow, how to grow tobacco. And that's the training. And then, of course, after the training, we will be appointed as field instructors. Then, of course, area managers and so on can climb the ladder up to the top in that field. So the training center was in Madugoda. Madugoda is an area which is off Hunasgiriya, a lovely area, a cool climate, a fairly cold climate. So as a young man, I was sent there, and I had to live in one dormitory, one big hall with about 25, 30 other batchmates who were undergoing training. Some of them are still in touch with me, some of them are good entrepreneurs as well. So during this training, it was very, very tough. We had to get up early morning, maybe around 5 o'clock, go to the stream nearby in the cold climate, have a bath, take our memories, crowbars and all the other equipment, go to the field, and then every single one was given 1/4 acre of jungle to clear and then plant tobacco, and that was the training. So from morning to evening, we work, and then in the evening we come and then come to the dormitory back again, and then have a nice evening. But now during this time, after about 2, 3, 4 months of this training, some sort of a uncertainty came into my mind. Was it a question or no? I don't think. Some sort of uncertainty came into my mind. And that uncertainty is, I am the eldest in my family. And I had 2 younger brothers, 2 younger sisters, my mother, father, and the grandmother, a grand aunt rather, was living with us. What if something happens to my father, who is the sole breadwinner for the entire family? What if something happens to my father? What's going to happen to this entire family? So that was really bothering me. So I was within myself getting a purpose of protecting the family or making sure that they don't get into problem. As a very young man. As a field instructor, after this training, I will be getting, at that time, I would have got 750 rupees a month, which was a good amount at that time. Somewhere in the mid-70s. Oh, yes, it was in the mid-70s. In the mid-70s, 750 rupees is fairly a good income, but not a good income to support a big family and to support the education of my sisters and brothers, and to look after 2 elderly people without the father. So this was really bothering. And I had 3 cousins who were engineers at that time, who were having very luxurious life. So in my mind, I had the concept that, okay, if I become an engineer, I will be also like one of them. So I should be able to then support my family. And that's the type of thought I got. Then, with the purpose of supporting this family, then a desire grew in me to become an engineer. Now, how to become an engineer? I was not selected into the university also. I was not selected to the university. So, because my A-level results were not really great, not up to that mark. Then, but this was really in my mind. A second, I'll keep my. By the way, until what time can I talk? Because I can keep on talking till many hours. But then, depending on the time, I'll try to see what's the,
don't worry,
time we
Mr.
should
Arun.
come to the question Q&A session.
So we have time till 11 o'clock, and 11 to 11:30 is going to be a Q&A. Okay,
even little before that, probably it will be better if we can go into a more sort of a
discussion.
Yes, thank you, Doctor.
Okay, that's up to you, Mr. Karavitia. So we have time till 11:30, so you can decide on the time frame.
Okay. Sometimes it is boring because you're looking at the screen as the same person. If I keep on talking, it will be that boring. So I was telling you, I got the desire to become an engineer, but then not selected to the university. Now, what can I do? I had done A-level twice, and I didn't have the energy to sit for A-levels once again. So this desire to become an engineer was so strong. And keep in mind, this is another tip that I'm trying to give you. When you have a good purpose and a burning desire to achieve that, a nice thing happens. You start seeing opportunities which otherwise you wouldn't ever see. This I have experienced so many times in my life. Countless number of times I have experienced when you are really keen on achieving something, then opportunities come in front of you, which otherwise you would never have seen. So when I was thinking about becoming an engineer and how at that time I was staying in a very remote village, Madugoda, with so many other friends. Then it's completely out, very, very remote village. We had no access to internet or whatever. Internet was not existing at that time. Then, but this desire is there. So the only way to get news is either listen to the radio or even read newspapers. Or somebody will have to even send a email, or not an email, snail mail, or a postcard. And that's how we used to hear things. Or a telegram. That time, the most famous thing was called telegram. Even if somebody dies, you send a telegram. So then from one post office to the other post office, they telephone and then they put it into words, and then the postman delivers it quickly. At a time like that, when this desire was so strong, it's so nice because in this world, that's how you start, your eyes get trained to look at things that really applies to achieving whatever you want. I saw a piece of paper that came into our dormitory to wrap something. It was something was wrapped in that piece of newspaper, and it was there, and I happened to see it, which also had an advertisement by the Ceylon Apprenticeship Board calling for special apprentices, special engineering apprentices. The word engineering really attracted me. I had a look. Oh, that's a 5-year course of apprenticeship as a special apprenticeship. 5 years, right? Okay. So that really gave me some sort of excitement. So I applied for it, and I was fortunate to get selected. I later heard that there were about 8,000 applicants and they selected a batch of 40. And I was lucky enough to be in that 40. And the most difficult part was, now I'm thinking of supporting a family if something happens to my father. And the mode of doing that was becoming an engineer. But if I'm to follow this course of engineering, I had to sacrifice a salary of 750 rupees and then settle for 115 rupee allowance a month. And this is the amount that the newspaper very clearly said you will be given an allowance of 115 rupees. Now, a man who is about to get 750 rupees for 5 years will have to settle for 115. Maybe there were increments of 5 rupees or 10 rupees a year. It was a very tough decision. My income will drastically drop, but still, to support the family, my father was good. He was active. But then I will have to survive with 115, maybe a little bit of support from my father also. So I joined. I was put into the Colombo port for training. And that's the time I really enjoyed doing all types of engineering training. Everything is practical. You study various things, how the welding shop is operating, how the machine shop is operating. You have to go and then practically learn from the technicians and the people who are working in those places, like welders or foundrymen or fitters, electricians, mechanics, everybody, they were our teachers. We had to work under them and learn various things, which I really enjoyed. There are lots of stories. If I keep on telling all those things, it will take quite some time. I'll tell you one good example. I was so keen in learning because I had the desire to end of the day become an engineer. It's not just to complete the apprenticeship board and to become a foreman or somebody. You know, I had a dream of becoming an engineer, not only a normal engineer, a chartered engineer. So then 100% of time I devoted to learning every little aspect of wherever I was posted to learn. There was a time that I was having training in the foundry of this Colombo port. That foundry at that time was only doing an activity called sand casting. It's a bit of a technical term, but for you to give some sort of an idea, sand casting is, say, if you want to create this object, you keep it you keep a box around it. Halfway you put a box around it, and then fill with sand. We first put some sand to the bottom and then keep it, and then fill with sand, compact all the sand. So it's now halfway, this box is up to halfway. Then you nicely set the sand there and then keep another half on top. Open only the frame, and then put more sand from top and compact. So this shape of this is embedded in the sand. So you slowly separate the two, take this object out, which is called a pattern. You take this out and then keep the two parts together, and then before separating, of course, you have to drill. You have to set 2 holes. I'll tell you what those holes are for. So you keep the 2, and then from one hole you pour very hot molten metal maybe aluminium or even cast iron. You pour and it goes into the die and then comes out from the other hole. So this cavity is filled. So when it cools down, it becomes solid again, either aluminium or cast iron or whatever the metal that you put in, copper, brass or whatever. And then the object is there. And that's called sand casting. The job of this foundry was sand casting, and there was a good staff, and they taught me everything, how to do the sand casting. But then you can't do a lot. You can only do it. It takes a time. It takes a lot of time to make something like this. And there was one of the items they were making was one of the major items they were making was trolleys for some sort of wheels for the trolleys they used to they have in the port. So there was a huge backlog of orders that they could not fulfill. They could not meet the demand even if they work for 24 hours, put in 2 or 3 shifts and work, still the demand could not be met. And you know the mentality of these port people, they don't want anything, especially the lower grade. They're very aggressive. And one day one chap came and said, in Sinhalese, he said, do you know that these engineer fellows are going to, whoever the administrator in the office are going to give these orders to a private company, they named the company also, and then get it from there. They don't want to depend on us, and then give it out. And there was a big howl. They have big discussion inside. They were all against giving these products to outside to be manufactured. So I was listening and I was thinking, what can I do? And at the same time, I not only did the practical things, I was going to various libraries. One was British Council, and then reading all types of books on engineering. And I could remember in one of the books I saw a thing called die casting and sand casting also. When I wanted to learn more on sand casting, I came across die casting also. So I thought, if I can make a die, and this particular metal was aluminium, the trolleys were out of aluminium. I thought, if I can make a die, then the solution is there. I mean, you can just, the die, you don't destroy the die, you keep on reusing. You don't have to make sand molds. So then I went to the engineering manager at that time. I was a small boy in age, I mean, when I say small. So I went to the engineering manager and asked, can I try to make a die for this so that we will not have to give it to outside? He asked why. I said, then people are a little agitated. If you can, he said, how long do you want? I said, sir, if you can hold this order for 2 weeks, just give me 2 weeks, let me try. So he laughed and I said, okay. In Sinhalese, he said, go and try. I was try. So this is the word he used. I went back immediately on my own, went to Panchagavatta, looked at all the dump yards, and then found the pieces of metals I needed to make this die. And I brought it to the machine shop. By that time, I had finished my machine shop training also. So I was quite conversant with the machinery. And then when I explained my purpose to the people in the operators of the machines, they all volunteered to support me. So I worked in some of the machines. Some people volunteered and they did the parts in their own machines. And then we machined the parts which were required to make this die. So at that time, I had also gained enough knowledge on how to make the die casting, how to do the calculations, because when you put very hot metal into a mold, it expands. So all those things have to be calculated to find the right size when you want it when it is cold. I can't make a mistake. I couldn't afford to make any mistake. And within 2 weeks, we finished. And I went and told that engineering manager, so I tried something, it's ready, but we want to now put the metal in and try. We said, okay, I'll also join. And then this conversation was heard by some other people to say, finally, the word had spread in that particular area, in the nearby workshops also. Something new has been made by an apprentice, and they are going to try it. It could have been a bomb. I didn't know exactly. I have never seen a die casting die. I have never seen in my life at that time. That was the first one which I saw, which we turned out. And we put it together. And then I was virtually shivering when we were taking the molten metal and then pouring into that. So we poured it, waited for a couple of minutes, giving it enough time for it to cool. A few minutes, not a long time. Then we removed the parts, separated the parts together to say beautifully it was made inside. So that's how the Colombo port started die casting from an apprentice. So that time onwards, they gave up the sand casting for that particular product. And then that's many years after that, when I visited that place just to see how things are, how the old friends are, they were all talking, what you made is what we are still working. So of course we made many more dies. So these are the things you can do when you have the requirement and when you see the purpose. So when I started working for becoming an engineer, I didn't just want to stop halfway. I wanted to do it thoroughly. And becoming an apprentice will not make somebody an engineer. So you have to have your qualifications. So then of course, I got some guidance. Now, when I'm going in this direction, I got some guidance from one of my cousins who was a chartered engineer, who went to England and then studied. He said, brother, you can do these exams. The Council of Engineering Institutions in England, they conduct exams, but you can sit from here and then do it. So whilst being an apprentice, I decided I'll follow classes during the weekends and then finally sit for those exams. And that's what I did. I very successfully passed the preliminary examinations, and the final also I got through. And within 3.5 years of apprenticeship period, I managed to get qualified as an engineer from the United Kingdom's Council of Engineering Institutions. And that's how I became an engineer. After I got qualified, I of course left the apprenticeship because I was given offers by my friends. Actually, one of my friends who was coming for the CEI, the Council of Engineering Institution class, he said, Lalit, why don't you come and join us as an engineer? Because his father had a fairly big business. So I joined his company. Then of course I got so many other offers. And finally, today I managed to become not only a member, but a fellow of the 2 institutions in England. That's the mechanical engineering and the electrical engineering, both institutions, to become a fellow. And in Sri Lanka also the Institution of Engineers to become a fellow, because I excelled in whatever the field I chose. So for you, what you need to take is understand the purpose for which you are working for. And fortunately, I did like that. After I became an engineer and when I started getting a good salary, within a couple of years, my father passed away. I had to look after his big family. And that time I was married. So my wife and my daughter an additional big family to look after them was a big task. I couldn't have done it if I stayed at Ceylon Tobacco. If I stayed at Ceylon Tobacco at that time, I would have probably got 1,000 rupees or whatever. Or I don't know if I had managed if I come up as a top manager, it would have been very big. But then to come to that top manager, it takes a lot of time. You have to serve so many years. But within this short time, that achievement is not possible. So fortunately, at that time, I had a good purpose, which I achieved. And then after becoming an engineer too, I wanted to really excel as an engineer, for which I worked very hard, studied, I kept on studying even now. I keep on studying. I have not given up studying even now. At this old age, I'm still studying. I'm still a student. Every minute I get, I enjoy studying. So that's one of the things. So the purpose is what really keeps you going. I just made some notes also in case I forget something in between. Right. Then, so I became an engineer. Then why did I become an entrepreneur? That's another problem. Was it to make money? Definitely not. No. I became an engineer because I wanted a steady income. But becoming an entrepreneur was nothing to do with making money. So as I told you, I'm a person who really want to study, try new things, and boldly try new things, experiment things, and not accept whatever is the present scenario, do something to change it to better. And that's me. Of course, all of you also can be the same, develop the same abilities, same desires. Yes, things will change. So I used to work in so many organizations. I had couple of places. Government, I joined the government also. The government where I worked for was called National Engineering and Research Center in Ekala. There I worked for some time, and then so many other private sector companies. But something was lacking in most of the places. What was lacking was the freedom for me. I wanted freedom. When I say freedom of trying new things, freedom of experimenting with new things, freedom of changing things, freedom of improving things. And I also wanted to love whatever I do. In the absence of such freedom, it was very difficult for me to work. Just follow somebody else's instructions? No. It was frustrating for me. So under these circumstances, when I realized that I was getting stressed because the freedom I am expecting, the freedom I want is not in my life. So what can I do? I've tried so many places. Oh, I must say, except one place that was under my most loved boss, Mr. Parakrama Jayasingh, a chartered engineer. I worked there for a few years. I had all the freedom I want, but at that time they were also doing so many businesses, but their structure did not allow me to reach my goal of supporting the family. So I had to, then I got this opportunity. I asked Mr. Jayasingh, I said, there is an opportunity like this. What would you say? He said, it's a lifetime opportunity. We'll find somebody else here. Don't worry. You take it. You deserve that. And with his blessings only, I left that place. Other than that place, I have not had this freedom in my life. So I was so stressed. And finally, I decided I'll sacrifice anything. Like the same way I sacrificed a salary of 750 rupees and settled for 115. I thought whether I don't get any income, whether I fail, doesn't matter. Let me get out of this stress. And at that time, mind you, I was paid a very high salary, probably one of the highest incomes in this country when I left the job. And people thought I'm crazy to leave an employment like that, where I was highly paid. Everything was provided. I didn't have to buy anything. Everything was provided, highly paid, but what was not there was the freedom. And that is exactly what I wanted. And I had no option because I have tried so many places. I thought, okay, let me start something very small. That's how and I was quite fair. That was a good company who looked after me very well financially. And I was fair by the company. I didn't just leave them. I gave them 1 year notice. I said, after 1 year, I'm leaving. They never expected my resignation. I said, whether you accept or not, exactly in 1 year, I am leaving. So with this notice, I think I'm getting blurred. Okay. Camera is not focusing well. Let me see why. Anyway. So gave them 1 year notice. After about 3 months of trying to persuade me to stay, the MD said, okay, Lalit, if you really want to go, you go, but get us somebody else. So I managed to talk to one of my good friends, a top engineer, and then recruited him also there, trained him for the rest of the time I was there. And then only I came out of that place. When I started with nothing. I didn't have much plans, but I only wanted to get out of the stress. And that was the purpose of being stress-free and then having the freedom to try new things. That was the purpose why I became an engineer. I had no intention of becoming rich or earning money. That there was nothing like that. So when I came and started the KIK company, very small, and a few people who worked under me said, if you are leaving this company, we will not stay, we will come with you. I said, don't do that. I don't have a company, I don't have a place to start a big business, and I don't have money to do that. Plus, I don't have income to even pay you salaries. And they said, no worries, but we'll be with you. And few people came. They joined from time to time, not everybody at once. And KIK, we started, and then it started rapidly growing. Now, what I'm trying to say is I managed to sacrifice a very big salary. I don't want to give you figures, a very big salary, which even in today's context is a good salary. This is I'm talking about the mid-80s now. Sacrificed it, started from nothing and grew steadily. And today KIK is existing because that action was taken. And again, you can see when you have a purpose and a deep desire to achieve it, there is a purpose and you have a deep desire to achieve it, and you are prepared to sacrifice anything going towards that goal, things start happening. So this is the most important thing, knowing the purpose of what you are doing. knowing the purpose, even in a job, try to understand why I am doing it. Don't just work for getting a salary. No, it shouldn't be that. There has to be a purpose behind everything we do. And when the purpose is clear, we see milestones towards meeting that purpose 100%. So that's the importance, or the most important thing of either becoming an entrepreneur or achieving whatever things you want. And this is the most important thing, because it's so important that you define your purpose. And I can tell you another thing which is very bit controversial. I have not spoken about this anywhere else. Well, this is the first time I'm going to talk about it publicly. I'm still thinking whether to say it or not. Oh, okay. Anyway, this is something quite personal. Let me also experience that. Just I want to make sure that I want you to understand the value of working for a purpose. Have you all heard of a disease called diabetes? Yes or no? From the audience, a question.
Yes, sir.
Yes. What you have heard is if you get diabetes, you have to live with your medications throughout the life. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. So 20 years ago, I was identified as a diabetic patient. And year after year, so this diabetic medication was increased. And 2 years ago, the doctors wanted to put me on insulin also. And at that time, I said, no, I don't need insulin. He said, if you manage the tablets, you are going to destroy your life. You need insulin. And this was told to me by a consultant, physician, a professor. Consultant, physician, a professor advised me, don't be silly, you take insulin. But then at that time, I also had developed systems in my near my ankle. I have seen black patches also coming up, which is a very bad sign for a diabetic. So this was coming up. I was really scared. I thought my legs will be amputated in another few years. And I got this desire of getting out of diabetes. So it was only a desire. I said, how can I be without a diabetes? Can I get out of diabetes? No, it's all silly. So I asked some of the top consultants. He said, crazy. I said, anyway, that conversation probably I'll tell you a bit later. When this desire is there, can you believe I got some junk WhatsApp message from one of the friends who keeps on sending me junk messages. What I do is I have put all those guys who are sending me junk messages into archive, WhatsApp archive, and look at the archive once in a way. And when I was browsing the archive, I saw this guy has sent me a story, and the word Devadiyava, it was a Sinhalese note, but the word Devadiyava caught my eye, and I read it. And somebody was saying that he had diabetic, and then he came across a doctor called Dr. Jason Fung, Canadian nephrologist, and then he followed him, and then he has got out of he is no longer a diabetic now. So this was very interesting. Then I started looking for this particular doctor. And I came across in YouTube so many videos. I started watching his videos. Then I found that he has written books. So I got down from Amazon, I downloaded some ebooks which he had written. So Kindle books were there. I downloaded those. I read the whole books. Now I was 100% confident that this is a disease where you should not be depending on medicines as given by the medical professionals. So I asked many doctors. This is exactly what happened. I'm not telling a lie. This is what happened in my life. They said, the professor physician said, don't be silly. I said, this is what Dr. Jason Fung says. He said he's a bluffer. So he used a little some other words also. He said he's a bluffer. These things will not happen in real life. Then I asked some other top guys. Everybody said, don't be silly. But on my own, I tried. He was promoting intermittent fasting plus low carb and high fat diet. And he was advising us to eat all the things that the doctors have asked us not to eat. I tried. So my wife and my daughter were also very scared. And because the doctors told them, don't allow this man to do this, it's dangerous. This happened in early last year, very early last year. But I did it against everybody's wish. Within 1 to 2 months, my diabetes vanished. And up to now, I don't need any medication for diabetes. And my HbA1c, the diabetic level reading, is much below 6 or much below even 5.8 always. It can be 5.4. I know it will still go down, but if you are less than 6.5 or whatever, you are supposed to be recognized as a non-diabetic. So these are things that you can do in your life. If somebody is anyway, if you have any relatives who, then of course I came across another doctor, one particular doctor, the MBBS doctor, not a consultant doctor, who had also studied the same subject, is promoting this concept in Facebook. I saw him, I saw his groups only after I did my part. I was so happy to see somebody promoting it. So I sent him a message and then he replied. And of course, today we are really, really good friends. And I get him also to do various sessions, even for our entire group of companies. We did, I got him to explain this concept, and then on online, like this session, I got him also to do it, which really helped many people to come out into better health. So again, the belief I had is I'll be a diabetic until I die. And also I must tell you that the black patches which I saw in my legs vanished in a couple of months after I did it. So if somebody is interested, you can even easily follow this particular doctor's website. He's Dr. Janaka Wannaku. He's in Facebook, Janaka Wannaku, and he has 2 major groups. One is called Badata Thita. It's in Sinhalese, Badata Thita, and the other group is Diyavadiya Samanaya. More than 200,000 people are now following, and everybody is thanking him for reducing, for getting them into shape. Even I was around 78 kilos those days, and with a little bit of stomach. All that vanished, and I managed to come down to 65 kilos, my weight when I was getting married. So that's what you can do. You can do things that you believe that you cannot do also, that you have heard that you cannot do. So when you identify the purpose and then get the desire, you are going to see ways of doing it, guaranteed. If I talk on this, I can talk till tomorrow, giving you all the examples, but that, this is enough for this particular part. Identify, identifying the real purpose, and then plus having a desire for it. Now, even in all our companies, every company every work unit has a purpose. We have identified the purpose, why that company, why that unit or the company is existing. So that entire company is working for that purpose, for which everybody willingly also contribute. So it all depends on the product that you produce. When you understand the purpose of the existence of a business, again, it's like understanding the purpose for which you are really working for. Right. Now, when that is known, let's now talk about how can we do it. The next important thing is to find out how can we do it. Now, it's quite easy for me to come and tell you, I did this, I did that, all that. But then, what are the steps that you need to take for you to achieve whatever you want? I believe, I'm sure you are very interested in knowing that, rather than telling you, rather than listening to me and my big talks about what I have done. You are interested, you are more interested in trying to find out how you can do what you want. To do that, let's now see what you have to do. The number one is, I told you, you have to very clearly know the purpose and your goal. And you have to have a desire, and you should be ready to sacrifice anything to reach there. That's number one. Number two, so this is, I can also say it's both are number one. You need to believe in you. You have to start believing in your ability. All of us are filled with huge abilities which we don't know. We believe that we can't do things. But if you believe you can do anything, if you have that confidence, the confidence itself will keep you going. Without confidence, it's not possible. So the most important thing for you is to develop your self-confidence. Do whatever you can to develop self-confidence is something which is essential in big achievements, becoming again an entrepreneur. This is essential. See how you can increase your confidence in you. Actually, even I was so confident that after setting up our companies, why I started KIK, the first company, why I left my employment and started, was because I wanted freedom. So I valued freedom. And I believe that every individual will also value it. So we managed to also create a culture in our organizations where the people are empowered much beyond their scope of responsibility. Even last couple of days back, I was having a chat with some of the engineers in one of our factories in Katunayaka. So they were telling me they were really brilliant engineers who had come out with unbelievable new things. So I was thanking them. I said, they are doing wonders and things quite new, which had not been existing. You have developed so many new things, and I'm so thankful to you. And the reply they gave was, so it was all possible because of the atmosphere you have made, because of the freedom you have given for us to make our own decisions and try our own things. And that's what you can develop even in your organizations. Even if you're an employee in an organization, still try to convert that organization into a place. Now in KIK, I would say all the key people, the top guys, or the engineers, managers, assistant managers, assistant engineers, all of them, they feel they are entrepreneurs. They are the people who are also called entrepreneurs. An entrepreneur, not entrepreneur, instead of E, you prepare I. When an entrepreneur means he has not taken risk like an entrepreneur. Without taking risk, he is attached to a safe environment within an organization, but he has all the freedom like an entrepreneur to do his own things, do new experiments, to create things, start new lines, new areas. So this is a culture that you can also consider promoting in your places. If you are a manager, maybe try it with your subordinates, and you will see wonders happening. By any chance, if you don't get the happiness and the freedom and the fulfilled set of mind, I have a question mark whether you should remain in a place like that. Anyway, that's food for thought. So, because of the self-confidence, because I believed in me, only I managed to get out of Ceylon tobacco. Take the challenge of coming down from 750 rupees to 115 for the rest of 5 years in my life. But I had confidence, no, I'm going to achieve this. For that, I will sacrifice anything. So that confidence, so when I left my employment, what did I have? Did I have a factory? Did I have a business? Nothing. Just walked out as an individual. And without a big saving also, although I was paid a very high salary, we enjoyed life. We spent all the money, and then my family and of course, the entire family, we lived well, we enjoyed life. And there was no big saving, but still I left the job, left that big salary, simply because of the confidence. The confidence that I can achieve what I believe that I want to achieve is what really kept me going. So self-confidence is the most important thing that you need to develop. See ways of developing your confidence. The next one you need is you also need to acquire skills. When you are starting something, you might have to acquire the skills yourself. Of course, when you grow as an organization, you can hire the skills. But at the beginning, it's important you develop the skills in whatever you want to do. Now, when I started as an entrepreneur, I realized the value of communicating my ideas to others. I realized the value of leadership, which I had no experience. Even at that time, when I started started as an entrepreneur, within the first year, we had probably after about a year, we had roughly, must be around 15, 20 people. And on the New Year day, we lit a lamp, and they wanted me to speak a few words. I didn't even know how to speak in front of 20 people. 20 or 15 people, I was stammering. So then I realized, my God, if I'm going to lead more people, I should be able to communicate what I have in my mind. I should be able to come up as a good leader. So developing communication skill, which I didn't have from my birth, was important. So, of course, in that case, my wife was a much better communicator. So she spoke very well on the first day, and then that, of course, made everybody happy. I stammered and said something which showed, of course, my weakness. And again, I got to know of a program called Speech Crafters advertised by the Institution of Engineers. So I told my wife, there's something called Speech Crafters, and they say they will get you trained to public speaking and leadership. More than leadership, it was at that time they were talking about public speaking. So she laughed and said, that's very good, you better join it. So I joined the IESL, Institution of Engineers, Speech Crafters program, which was conducted by another group of people. And it was so interesting. It was a 3 or 4 months session, not every day. I think one evening a week or something like that. And it was so interesting. I was getting the ability to speak in public. I was losing my fear of talking. Then I also realized that it's also giving me a lot of abilities in leadership. Then the people who were in that Speech Crafters program got together and we said, okay, let's form a separate Toastmasters club for the IESL. Now, this was conducted by an organization called Toastmasters. It's a Canadian organization. And we formed the IESL Toastmasters Club, which is also still existing and doing very well, which had trained so many engineers. And of course, there are so many other Toastmasters clubs in this world, in this country. Again, I wanted to go do a lot in Toastmastering. So because I got this desire, I saw the ability I'm getting in communicating, and I noted how I'm improving my meeting skills, all those things. And then the ability to convince people. With all that, I thought this is something worth, I really should work and then excel in. And I also managed to establish new Toastmasters clubs in different areas. The University, we established something called the Gavel Club in Katubad University. 100% it was my thought. And I talked to the, at that time, I think he was the dean or the chancellor, I can't remember, vice chancellor or the dean, got his permission and then did it. And so many other business organizations, we started this program. And as a result, I managed to become the first distinguished Toastmaster in this country. Of course, today there are many, they are called DTMs, the Distinguished Toastmasters. But because of my dedication, the Distinguished Toastmaster produced in Sri Lanka, I managed to become the first one who was produced in this country. So that's what you can really do. When you get committed, when you have your confidence, you can do things. So confidence and acquiring skills makes a huge change. Of course, later when we are now in our organizations, I don't have all the skills to run the organization. There are top guys who are much more knowledgeable than me, much more skilled than me. There are hundreds of people who are much better than me in all the skills. So they get to, now we have got a system. So that when the system is there, one will not have to acquire all the skill. At the beginning, it's very important for you to acquire the required skill. Even right now, as a leader, I need to keep on acquiring the skills I need as a leader. So that is again acquiring skills. Wow. Even you can see when you look back at the stories which I told you, even to becoming an engineer, it never happened automatically. I had to acquire my skills. I had to acquire practical skills. I had to acquire theoretical skills. And then only I was recognized as a chartered engineer. To understand the importance of the confidence and the skills together. I have a nice video produced by a very short video, maybe 2 to 3 minutes video, filmed by BBC. When you see that video, you will see 3 people in Africa who had developed a very special skill, who had developed self-confidence. Their performance in scaring away about 15 lions, 15 hungry lions were eating their prey, and these 3 people go to that place and the lions get away, and these are all in the thick jungle, not trained lions. They cut a piece of that prey for these 3 people's families, cut one leg of that prey and then take it back. And thereafter only the lions come and then eat the balance. And that's the skill. Can you ever believe this is happening? I'll just share it. I've shown that in some of my speeches earlier, but I still love it because that's a classic example of acquiring skills and having self-confidence. Now let me share it. Well, that's what people can do when they have confidence, when they acquire the skills to do that. Now I spoke of a few things that you need. Number 1, to know the purpose of what you are doing and then set your goals. Have the desire, of course, and you should be able to sacrifice anything when you are going to achieve your goals. Number 2, the importance of self-confidence, developing your confidence. For an example, I didn't have confidence to speak in front of, but now even if there are thousands of people, I have no worries. I can just speak like speaking one-to-one. So that's acquiring the skills. So acquiring the skills, self-confidence, and the desire going back. Now, these are things that we discussed up to now. Again, there are some more things. Now, keep in mind that things won't be smooth. In your journey, in whatever the journey, there'll be obstacles, a hell of a lot of obstacles. That's where the self-confidence plays. There'll be lots of obstacles coming your way to fail you. And then you give in to those obstacles, you become a failure. And if you don't become an obstacle, if you don't give up, when you meet obstacles, yes, then you of course become an achiever. And that's the difference between becoming a failure or becoming an achiever. So, not giving up is very important. When I told you I started KIK, that was in 1994. Within 1 or 2 years, probably after about 2 years, not even 2 years, maybe 1.5 years, we had around 30 odd people at that time. There was a time that we were not getting enough orders. So it was very discouraging. It went on for months and months, and our orders were going down. And it was becoming tough, and people were frustrated. And mind you, these were people whom I had trained a lot in all the skills, who were highly trained to make the things that we were making at that time. And I saw one of my highly skilled people writing an application for a job in Maldives. So I asked him, why are you trying to go to Maldives? He said, so I'm a burden to you here. So I'm trying to find some other job and then move out. That really gave me a bit of a shock. I knew that I'm going to lose the trained people also now. So I had 2 challenges. One is to keep the people whom I have trained. The second one is to make sure that we get enough jobs. So the immediate requirement was to keep the people. So what I did, I was not prepared to just give up and then believe, okay, this is not going to happen, and then let me give up. No, I was not prepared to do that. So trying to keep the people, I did a silly thing, or silly, I don't know what you call it. I think I have done a good thing. I went to a sports goods shop and then bought a lot of badminton sets and then drafts boards, carom boards, and many other things with which they can play, and some books also. Brought everything and said I want to talk to everybody. So they were all really worried. They were not having enough work to do. There was no work virtually at that time. So they got together and they expected me to say, ask them to find jobs that we are going to give up this work. That's what they expected. I could see from their facial expressions what they had in their minds. And I told them, it's true that we don't have enough work, but that's none of your problem. That is none of your fault. That's 100% my fault. Probably I have not done something wrong. That's why the orders are not coming. But I don't want you all to just waste time. Don't waste time. Come with me. Let's unload the things in the car. And they were surprised to see all these items. I said, you come to work on time, start play badminton if you like, play carom if you like, play drafts, or else you read books. Don't waste time doing nothing. Meanwhile, I'll try to find out how I will take the challenge of getting you adequate work. So that whole day I spent with them, playing and then laughing and cheering up the people. But then the question to the second one, how to find jobs, was, I didn't have an answer. But still I was confident that I will do it. One fine day, after a couple of days, early morning, I got a thought. There is a problem here, but why don't I look for orders overseas? So how can you sell overseas? Because we pay duty and clear everything and we make here it's so expensive. What if I can have a BUI organization and then start exporting? And I got this crazy idea. I told early morning, I woke my wife up and said, shall we try this? Shall we set up it? She was very patiently listening. I said, there are definitely there are good orders in other countries. Why don't we try? He said, okay, let's do it. So we went to BUI the same day, talked to them, and then got some ideas on how to set up an organization. Then we also managed to find a small plot of land at that time at Katunayaka, and sign an agreement with the BUI. Probably that would have been the first Sri Lankan-owned small business in the Katunayaka Free Trade Zone at that time. The first factory space we got was only about 80 perch block. Of course, later we kept on expanding and acquiring more land, and then another factory as well. But the first one on 80 perch block, and we set up, and then I started working on looking for jobs in overseas. The moment we signed the agreement and acquired the land, that attempt was very successful, and I was getting orders from other countries. And also the local projects, the first local project we got was at that time, the Crescat development, the Crescat building in Colombo 3. That was also a BUI project done by a foreign contractor. So we got that also, and then some foreign orders. But we got the orders without a factory. We didn't have a factory. We only had the enterprise registered and an empty land. So I had to set up a temporary, I had to hire a building space in a nearby factory inside the zone. I managed to get it, fortunately, a little bit of space from a building. And there we set up our temporary stores and everything. And then that's where we executed many orders whilst putting up the buildings and other things. So if I gave up at the time, we did not have orders, the existing business right now would not have developed. So it's a matter of not giving up. Similarly, I can tell you, when we went to India, when I wanted to capture the Indian market those days, when we went to India, we took part in an exhibition, and thousands of people were coming. It's a huge exhibition called Electrama. Thousands of people were coming to Mumbai at that exhibition. We had a stall. Only my wife and I went there. We set up the stall and we were displaying the items. Everybody admired the items, and one of my good friends who had a stall, Indian friend who had a stall in the same exhibition, towards the last day, he was having a very sincere chat and said, "Lalit, I feel very sorry for you." I said, "Why?" He was having a big stall, and then I was having just a 3 meter by 3 meter stall. He said, "Why?" I asked, "Why?" He said, "You are trying to sell these electrical switchboards in India. And don't you know that in every town we have hundreds of people like you, hundreds of companies like you. In every place, you take any state in India, there are hundreds of companies like you, and you are displaying it here, expecting the Indians to come all the way to Sri Lanka and then give you orders." So that's why I feel sorry, because you have already spent money. You're spending money for the exhibition, you're spending money for your hotel, and you're wasting your money. And that's the only encouragement I got at the exhibition. I call it an encouragement because then I realized, okay, this is the wrong approach. They will not come here. I should go there. And next month, we set up an office in India. I recruited engineers from India and then started marketing from India. We had a fairly big warehouse. We got a warehouse also, exported some other products there, had it in stock, and also recruited a couple of engineers, started promoting. But it was very tough. It was very tough. We were not getting recognized. 1 year went, no substantial sales, only this little miscellaneous things. They managed to get orders, but then no substantial order they managed to secure for 1 whole year. Another few months passed by, nothing. So it took roughly close to more than 1.5 years for us to break in. We broke into the Indian market with a huge order from the Delhi Metro Corporation. The first 6 underground railway stations order to produce electrical switchboards for the first 6 underground stations. I can remember it was well over 50 container loads of switchboards, 40-foot container loads of switchboards we shipped to India. And that was the first order. But to get that, I was able to sustain there, and even I could see my finance manager at that time was thinking that I had gone crazy. going every month to India, talking to people, and then spending a lot of money, paying Indian staff without orders because we were funding from here. But finally it materialized. Then only we got so many other orders like the Hyundai car factory, the Renault Nissan car factories, Motorola, Nokia, Samsung, Foxconn, so many big companies that came up in India, even Reliance. So many big companies that Indian market started buying from us. And that happened because I did not pull out when I saw the failure of not getting orders. So giving up should not be in your list of things that you need to do. And finally, I must say, before we go into our question and answer session, the most important thing is to start. We all have nice dreams. We all think of very nice things. We all desire to have things. Sometimes we have craving ideas. But do we start? We only dream, but we don't start because we are scared. We don't see how to go there. Every time I started, I didn't exactly know how to reach the goal, but I knew the goal. I had to find the way. I didn't know the way. I knew the goal. The goal I knew, but didn't know exactly the entire road. I didn't see. So important thing is to start without procrastinating. If you don't start, you don't go anywhere. The starting is very important, because when I left my job, that was a start I did, but that needed a lot of confidence. But with all the confidence, if I didn't start, I wouldn't have been what I am today. So every little thing, even starting a BOI company, at a time that when there were no orders, this man goes and starts another different company to produce the same thing. Again, it's the start that you have to give with confidence. But all this will not work if you don't start. But don't wait until you see the entire path clearly, that you might never see it. Say, for an example, if I am going from my home to Katunayaka, do I see the entire road? No. When I take the road, only I see the next few meters. And sometimes you find the roads are blocked. So you have a choice of turning back and coming home, or else taking a different road. So you can take a different road and then reach your goal. So similarly, important thing is to know your goal, but where are you going to go? When the goal is known, it's a matter of then identifying the exact road which you should take to go there. I think that is what I really want to share with you. To summarize what I said, let me start with the importance of identifying the purpose of what you want. Why? Why do you want it? When that is known clearly, only you can find out how you are going to do it. So when you have your goal, when you identify your goal, I told you exactly the importance of finding the purpose. What is the purpose that you want? Why do you want it? What is the purpose of doing it? So when that purpose is clear, then you set your goals, achieving that purpose. Then of course, how to do it is developing your self-confidence, acquiring your skills, and then not giving up. And finally, without procrastinating, start. Don't wait until you see the entire road to take the journey that you will never see. Get onto the road, and then you start going, you're going to reach the goal. And with that, I think it's time that you must be having many questions now to ask me. So, or sometimes you might not even agree with what I said. Let us come into a discussion. Now it's your turn. Switch on your mics and then start talking.
Prashanta, can I ask a question from this gentleman? Yes, Dr. Yapa, so you can proceed. Hi, Mr. Lalit, hope you can see me.
Yeah, I can hear. Give me a second.
Yeah.
I'm hearing a bit of an echo. Just hold on. I'll try to get a earphone connected to the, so that echo will not be there. Hold on. Right. Okay.
Hope you can see me.
Yes.
This is Shanta. We are friends.
Oh, yes.
Hi, Lalit. Yeah, I joined SLIIT faculty at the beginning of this year.
Right.
So, dear students, I was listening to the great speech of this great entrepreneur of our country. I have listened to this gentleman in many different forums, and certain things he perhaps did not discuss with you guys. I'm going to ask you questions. Lalit, you are known as a patriotic entrepreneur. Okay, students, this gentleman is loving his country, and his love to the country is shown through many different ways. Mr. Lalit, I want you to talk something about that particular aspect. As an entrepreneur, your faith in the country and your love to the country. That's number one. Number two, long time back, when I was a banker, I was heading at National Bank's SME department. We had many manufacturers of similar products. Whenever I discuss with them as to why you are struggling and why you can't reach the level KIK has reached, the issue they highlighted was, sir, the quality, what they have achieved is we cannot achieve. After a decade or so, when I was working for EPIC, Dr. Nana's company, I met you in a national forum and award ceremony. Your team was next to our table, and I asked the question, what made you a company which does not compromise on quality? He said, or you said, well, quality cannot be a reason to, or rather a factor to compete in the market. It has to be there. You have to produce a quality product, then you can look for other things. So I want you to elaborate a bit on these two aspects. One, the love to your nation. Number two, quality. It cannot be an accident. It is something mandatory in your product. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, again, it comes down to the purpose, because I believe my purpose of, I have decided even the purpose of my life now. I became an engineer also, not because I wanted to get benefited. That was with the idea of helping my family. Now, I have devoted my life to serve as many people as possible and to serve the country to the best of my ability. And that's why you see me as a patriotic. Because to serve the people, you need to make sure that you give them the best. You try to avoid them from danger. That's why you have seen me at certain forums speaking against some of the decisions that certain governments had taken against various things like these MCC and all that. I had been a big fighter even against some trade agreements which would have destroyed this economy. I had been openly fighting, and so many things I was involved in such various fights for the simple reason because I wanted to make sure that the next generations will lead a better life than what we have been leading. So naturally, I think that's why Shanti have seen me as a patriotic, because it's again on safeguarding the others. So even right now, why I want to stay in this country is because still I cannot put the lives of the people who are with me in danger. So I need to make sure that their lives are better tomorrow. So similarly, the countrymen. So whenever I see something bad happening, it's quite difficult for me to close my eyes and wait. So that may be the reason probably you are calling me and a patriotic person. Anyway, thank you so much for that designation you had given me as a patriotic person. The number two is quality. Quality comes with the purpose once again. Now, if you look at our organizations, every organization, I said, has a purpose. And that purpose is something which is giving the users something best, making life easier for them, or making life. Now, if something is poor in quality, that makes the user's life miserable. So we cannot do that, because when the purpose of this company is every work unit, when they understand the purpose, we need to really work for that purpose. And every purpose is based on excelling in that field and then giving the best to the customer. So best means it has to be to the highest quality. And that's built in to the mindsets of every employee in this organization, in all our organizations, in all of our work units. We still have some engineers working in India, Indian engineers. Even they believe in the same concepts. Now we are not, because Indian market is so competitive, there's no point now we are selling in India right now. Of course, we still do. We are people who really want KIK, irrespective of the competition, they still buy from us. And we have a number of engineers in India to serve them and then supporting us on our designs as well. Quality comes in there. So quality is built into the purpose. I believe I answered your question, Chanda.
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much.
Very nice to see you also.
Thank you, Mr. Karipatya. So I want students to come up with your questions. You might be having a lot of questions in your mind. So it's time for you to get it clear, no? So the resource person is there. So I think it's a opportunity that you have got. So you have to capitalize on that. So please come up with the questions, the things that you want to know. So it's up to you.
Even your challenges you are facing, some people might be fearing various things.
Yes.
Come out with your whatever the examples, and let's see how we can make the future better. I think it is a must that you all start the Toastmasters Club within the SLIIT, if you don't have it, and get everybody to join, because then you will not be able to stop them talking.
Yes, we'll do it definitely, Mr. Karipatya. I'll have a separate discussion with you.
Exactly, because this fear of asking questions in public has to be taken out. This is an opportunity for us to discuss issues and problems and challenges in a forum. So even the people who are, the students who are physically present at SLIIT, or the persons who are viewing from their homes, even without switching on the camera, probably you can talk. If you want, you can switch on the camera.
Yes. No, actually, that's I have asked them to switch on the cameras, but it is also not coming up still. This is the second the lecture that I am taking. So I think in future they will get improved, because switching the cameras on the cameras and talking to the camera is always nice, because then the other person recognizes you, right? By rather than putting some photo or without a photograph, always your identity is not there. So try to make it. Try to switch on the camera and speak. Okay, so I want because I know that a lot of students are having problems, questions to areas to be clarified, but they are not coming up with that. So don't keep it and go for the sleep. Get it here and get it clarified.
It can be even a very silly question.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a good example. One time when we were putting up a building, we got some electrical consultants also to do the electrical system. And then there was a problem in the first floor, drawing the wires onto the workstations, because the workstations for people to work in the office were at different places. And this is in the first floor. So they were talking about, all the top engineers were talking about how to get the wires. So somebody said, okay, let's have a, what is this, take it above the ceiling and then put a pipe in between up to the workstation and take the cables through that, a lot of things. And the finance manager came out, asked us a very silly question, and everybody started laughing. The question he asked me was, the question he suggested, or the proposal he made is, he asked a question. Should we, and the consultants were saying you had to have a false flow and then take your cables underneath, and there's so many expenses also. And this guy, the finance manager, after listening to everything, a non-engineer, he said, can't we take it from the ground floor, which is again a workflow where we don't need any sort of special aesthetics there, and then drill holes and then take the cables at each place? Everybody started laughing. But finally, that is what accepted, what was done. Then everybody realized the importance of it. They brought the cables from the ground floor on the ceiling up to various places and took it out, and then put some nice cable trays to cover it. So sometimes it looks like a silly proposal or a question, but it can be the most valuable one as well. So come out with anything.
Yes, because they are supposed to, because they are in second year. So the first year they have been almost learning from home, so online. Now this year only they are coming to the university and meeting their friends and all. So the same time in this subject, I want them to do up a business plan for, it can be for their own idea. If they don't have an idea, at least to try the process. I ask them to talk to an entrepreneur known to them and work with him or her and start doing a business plan for them. Entrepreneurs. So then through that process, they will learn how the practical business is happening, how you should work with the people, work with the entrepreneurs. So even that lines, you can ask questions about the business plan and how to do it, because so that this is the opportunity for you. So otherwise, I'm going to nominate some people, right? I'm going to use my right. Navoda, do you have any questions? Navoda, you should not leave because we have some other announcements as well. So you should not leave.
No, sir.
Yes, Navoda.
No.
No questions, right? At least we hear your voice.
Speak a bit
Malmi?
louder.
Malmi? Are you there? Senuri? Do you have any questions?
Yes, sir. I would like to know that when we are doing a business, basically like an entrepreneur, how we have to balance our personal life as well as the business life accordingly.
Yes, always don't look at a business. So don't think you are doing a business. What you are doing is with a purpose. So when you work with a purpose, it's well balanced. And if you are getting involved in doing work without a purpose, it's quite difficult to balance your life. Now, even from the time I started as an entrepreneur, we had a very free mind, good family life, very easy, enjoyable family life. Even if I go on a business trip, we make it a family trip and a business trip as well together. Sometimes I can remember when I have visited certain foreign companies and or even at exhibitions at some of the stores. I can remember even the little daughter was singing, and that was again an attraction. Visitors were coming, so you can combine everything. So it never gives you out as long as you know the purpose and you value the family, and that feel. And also, it's best if you are becoming an entrepreneur, get your family also involved, and you have the support of everybody. The family life is not at all going to be improved, not at all going to be really affected doing a business. Believe me, it happens. It never happens because it never happens means it never gets affected. In fact, it will be much better than where you had been working under stress. When the purpose is clear and the stress vanishes. So when there's no stress, naturally the family life also will be very enjoyable.
Actually, dear students, this is Shantayapa again. This would have been my third point. I wanted to ask you, Mr. Kartavitiya, the reason. Now, I have seen this gentleman attending national forums, always with his loving wife, Mrs. Indira Kartavitiya. Okay, but since this is bachelor students, I did not want to make that point. Okay, if there is an audience of young entrepreneurs, I would have definitely asked that question. So here's an endorsement for his statement. I have seen him attending national forums, and always his wife is there with him. So we need to take it very positively how he's balancing his work and life. And there's another message I would like to share, Dr. Krishanta. Now the students are expected to do research when they go to the fourth year. We cannot expect Professor Kotler to come to Sri Lanka or to extract stories from countries like Sri Lanka. It is the duty of local universities to interview people like Mr. SLIIT Kartavitiya and to find out the secrets. Okay, Mr. SLIIT, SLIIT Business School has a plan to write a few case studies, and it was an accident actually. Dr. Krishanta all of a sudden invited me to listen to a great speech. I didn't know that it was you. So I joined the discussion after 10 minutes or so, and I realized the importance of listening to the entire speech. And I know how you are doing and how you are respected by others in the industry. It's not just running a business successfully. It has to be ethical. It has to be professional. The leadership and everything. It's a bundle of many different things put together, and we see it as KIK and SLIIT Lecture. It's great. So we are going to write a case study, and I'll be reaching you through Dr. Krishant shortly. Students, make a note of this organization. It need not only be about entrepreneurship, it can be about product quality, how to go to other countries. Imagine, I cannot name even the biggest companies like biscuit manufacturers. Years ago, they tried to go to India. Indians are patriotic. Sorry for making this comment, unlike Sri Lankans, okay? But they had to come back. After even investing billions of money, they had to come back. Here's a living example who says in each state, there are so many light engineering manufacturing entities. I had to fight with them, and finally I succeeded. Why not we study and write journal papers?
That's true. That's true. Yes, I 100% agree with you. Actually, I believe the reason we succeeded in the Indian market is mostly depended on the purpose of our existence, because we were not the cheapest. Definitely, we were, in most cases, in most of the orders we secured, we were almost the highest in many areas. So we never fought on the price, but we stuck to the purpose of what we are doing things. And that's the same reason. If you look at the Apple telephones, iPhones, why is it getting so popular? It has almost, if you look at the features, it's almost the same features. Some other phones have even better features. But why is Apple getting so popular? It's again the reason why they are working for. They are not just competing with each other. They have their own way of doing things and they stick to it. So these are things that we can learn in life. I'm sure even small little examples the students might have. Getting your fears out. Now, the good question was how it will affect the family life. I'll guarantee that family life is going to be much better, even if you become an entrepreneur. Yes. I know.
Can I add something to that, because I have some experience come to that with you, right? Because actually we met first in 2006. Yes, 2006. It's about almost about 16 years.
Yes, yes.
Almost 16 years back. So when I invited him, actually we want him to attend to one of our events, and some of my it was like when you have event, you know, number of people are involved. Somehow the invitation has gone with only Mr. Right? Only Mr. Then he called me and said, Krishant sir, I'm not going to come because my wife is not invited. So I'm not attending the event, any event without my wife. Because of that, I'm not going to be a part of it. So that I was really upset, because it was, at the end of the day, it was my responsibility. It was my responsibility. Then I said no. But finally, because it was a very short notice, because it was, I think, one day before he called me, and finally I realized that because most of the time the organizations, when you send the invitation, you send only for the particular person. So then I realized, and I learned a good lesson from that, because we need to respect the whatever the affiliations, the family and the organization, and how they are behaving. Because some people, some individuals, they like to attend event only themselves or himself or herself. But when it's come to so that was I think that was a good lesson for me. And after that, I used to get all the invitees list and go through and see, because that was how he has has been that is what Mr. Shanta was telling, that he is always attending his wife. So I just want to add that also.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. If you don't have any questions, I'm sure that you have a lot of questions, but you are not coming up.
It's actually not only entrepreneurship, it's again achieving. All of us have dreams. All of us want to achieve something. Some people want to be entrepreneurs. Some people might want to be somebody else, maybe a professor in something, and then be happy in serving this country or serving the world. So it doesn't have to be anything, because this is a very free forum. You are welcome to ask all types of questions, because this is the only time, by asking questions and discussing issues, only we can find out better ways of doing things. Even I might be able to learn from you.
Sir, can I ask a question? Many students fly to other countries rather than staying in Sri Lanka and starting something, because they are having a fear that they won't get success as we are starting something in Sri Lanka. So, sir, do you have any advices for the younger generation, and can you show some opportunities that we can get by staying in our country?
Plenty of things. Actually, this is a good example for you. It's all because we don't have confidence. We are only depending on just working somewhere and then having. If all the people in this country has confidence, the politicians will not be able to ruin this country. So I can remember I addressed the University of Moratuwa many years ago, a new batch to the University of Moratuwa long ago. And then I shared some of the stories, and then shared the importance of chasing your dreams and then serving the country. So, and that's it, and I did it, and then came. Many years later, I was addressing the IESL, about a year or two back. The IESL had an online session where many engineers, and mostly the engineers, listened online, and they started asking questions also. And after that, I got an email from one of them who was in the audience, saying that probably I will not remember him because he was in the audience in the university in his first batch. Whilst after listening to me, he started thinking of doing things new. And in his second year, like all of you, he has started an IT company just serving a niche market. Got hold of another 3 or 4 friends in the same batch, started an organization. Today had grown up to very big scale. And he was telling me, it's your words which gave us inspiration, and then they are doing pretty well today, serving so many other countries as well. So there are people. I know of another person, a Muslim gentleman who was working in Middle East. He has searched some of the videos and he had been watching it, and he named a particular speech and then sent me a message. He got connected to me in LinkedIn, and he sent me a message saying, that particular speech of yours changed my entire life, and today I am an entrepreneur running a big business. And he was thanking me for opening up his eyes. So all of us can do, but we believe that everything depends on the others. No. What we are lacking is finding out the purpose of what we need to really do. Finding out the purpose and then getting the desire to do that. That is the most difficult part. If that is done, rest is peanuts. Dilshani, am I clear, or still any doubts?
No, sir, it's very clear. Thank you, sir, for answering the question.
even in an organization, you can change. If you're working in an organization, you can work to change it into a much better place where a lot of new things come. No, the entrepreneurship culture that we have inculcated in our companies is producing fantastic new results. So we have come out with new patents, worldwide patents for many items. We have come out with very new features, very new ways of giving a better and a more reliable product to our people. And in one of the factories where we make in-person systems, it's a different purpose that we are working for in the world market. Again, there is a purpose of making the lives easier for the people in those countries, in the things that they are doing. So our product is, again, we keep on improving it to reach that purpose. So even in your life, when you know the purpose, what you should do, then all of you will see opportunities that you have not seen. That's the most important part. When we don't have a purpose and when we don't have a goal, we will not see opportunities. That's why people just leave the country and then go to other places. When you have the opportunity, they only see the opportunity in other countries. So as you say, grass is greener on the other side. But again, are you sacrificing your relationships in this country? Are you sacrificing the relationships with your family and then just move into another country? It's something up to you to decide. But as long as you value your relationships and the happiness in life, still happiness does not depend only on money. Even if you look at a person in the thick jungles, a person who had lived a free life in thick jungles, who had lived a stress-free and a happy life, maybe with few families. If you compare that with the richest man in the world, I don't see any difference there, because that man is also leading a life of happiness. If he's happy, sometimes the richest guy may not be happy. So I see this man as a happier guy. Even the man who lives in a thick jungle area, in a remote area, free life, end of the day, end of the lifespan, he goes off out of this world. But then he has enjoyed his life. The man who has so much of money, we know people who are accumulating money like nothing. But do they have peace of mind? No, they're scared. So what is success? All depends on how you look at it.
Thank you for answering the question, sir.
Okay, do you have any more questions? Okay, if you don't have questions, I would like to invite Senuri to give the vote of thanks. Senuri, over to
Yes,
you.
sir. Thank you, sir. And yes, my dear batchmates, colleagues, it's more than 2.5 hours gone, and finally we have stepped on to the end of this session. It's can't believe that a big business personality, a leading business personality, is today with us. And yeah, it was really glad to have you, sir. And yeah, it's a great pleasure to all of us to hear your wonderful life experiences as well as business experiences. And yeah, I think that would help us to magnifying our knowledge in the best possible way. And yeah, on behalf of my colleagues and the staff of SLIIT Business School, I would like to thank you, sir, for taking time from your busy life to our guest lecture And I must say, your every word inspired all of us, and that was amazing. And yeah, with that, we can wind up today's session. And once again, I would like to thank our guest lecturer, Mr. Lalit Kahatupitia, the founder, chairman, and the managing director of KIK Group. And yeah, apart from that, my heartfelt gratitude to our lecturer, Dr. Krishantha, to organizing this kind of a valuable opportunity to all of us. So with that, we can wind up today's session, and thank you so much for everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for the lovely words. Thank you, Krishantha.
Thank you, Mr. Kahatapitia. It was a good session, and we also learned a lot, right, from that. And actually, students they had a very good opportunity to learn and to have a kind of develop a purpose for their life, right? You were telling about the purpose and how you go there, whether the road is clear or not, because you don't see the road. You don't, as you said, you don't see the road. You'll see few meters or few hundred meters. But the most important thing is to start something. Start something, or towards your career or towards your own enterprise. To start something and then start developing it. Thank you, Mr. Kahatapitia. So a lot of food for thoughts, and I'm really happy with what you have given to the students.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Lalit.
I love you. Shanta, be in touch.
Yeah, yes, of course. Stay safe. Bye.
Bye.